hedgehog, biscuit, cats, biscuit, hedgehog, biscuit, hedgehog, biscuit, out into this world, tiny little thing before its time, in a God for what? Girl, yes, tiny little girl, biscuit, into this, out into this before her time, godforsaken hole, calls, no matter, parents unknown, unheard of, he having... I identify mouth as a neurodiverse character. When I read Not I was stunned to find line after line that really spoke very deeply to my lived experience of someone whose brain works in a different way. Because I have this experience of automatic speech, biscuit, I know, biscuit, what it feels like to say things really quickly and biscuit and not recognise your own voice. Stage directions say that the mouth needs to be lit from close up. Traditionally, that's meant that performers have been held still, so a light can be shone at their mouth, biscuit. But we knew that holding me still wasn't going to work, biscuit, hedgehog, biscuit, and so instead the light is in my hoodie as part of my costume, so that it moves as my body inevitably moves.
Obviously, we're intrigued about what it is that makes you bang your chest. And poor chest, it must have a rough life.
Biscuit, it's adapted. It's pretty tough now. Biscuit. Biscuit.
Why biscuit?
Biscuit. Well, I have no idea. Biscuit. Anything I've ever known has the potential to become a tic, but why certain words stick around is a mystery. My thoughts are definitely biscuit-free. They're not things I'm thinking about at all. Biscuit. And I think
how long has biscuit been with you?
Biscuit. Biscuit's been around for about 7 or 8 years.
What preceded it?
Biscuit, squirrel and crisps. Tourette's is a condition that waxes and wanes, biscuit, but like lots of fluctuating conditions, in some ways those fluctuations can be quite challenging.
The amazing thing is that, in fact, when you're performing, you manage to suppress to some extent the normal biscuit bang
hedgehog
sort of activity.
Biscuit.
And then suddenly, by the time you've finished a run of it, you release a whole lot of biscuits and bangs.
Biscuit. Yeah, it's automatic suppression. I'm not deliberately suppressing my tics to perform, but there's something about putting this monologue through my body and the focused concentration it takes, biscuit, that means that some of my vocal tics reduce, although my motor tics might increase a little bit. Biscuit, but then every pause, then all these biscuits emerge, and it's like they sort of piston out, and it's almost like putting a stone into a bowl of water. It displaces the tics, but yeah, in the gaps they find their way back out. Biscuit, hedgehog, stare into space, then on a few more. Biscuit, stop and stare again, so on, drifting around, when suddenly, gradually, all went out. All that early April morning light, and she found herself in the what? Who? No, she. Biscuit.
What I think adds to this performance is actually the interpretation for people who are deaf or cannot speak. And I just wondered whether Charmaine could join us, because she is part of this performance. I mean, this is the sort of, as it were, added value. Come in, Charmaine, and join us on the stool.
Yes, Charmaine's our BSL performer, and it was important to integrate the British Sign Language really fully within the piece.
And I know actually what biscuit is in sign language.
Biscuit.
That's it. Because at the end of the performance, when you go, biscuit, poor girl, she goes like this.
Biscuit.
If your chest isn't sore, her elbow must be. but actually interpreting for her must be quite a challenge, because she speaks at a heck of a rate.
What the biggest challenge is actually is when I get really familiar with pieces, and I'm really familiar with it now, and I almost know it myself. But if I get to know it too well, then what happens is I miss the biscuit. And it's really important to keep the tics in. So that's been a challenge. It's that about keeping sort of like a peripheral listening in a way, so that although I know what's coming, trying to be prepared for any other tics that might come in.
Yeah. Who do you want to turn up?
We want young people, we want older people, people who know Beckett's work, people who've never heard of him before. Biscuit, people who are curious,
Curious about Tourette's.
Curious about Tourette's, curious about performance. Every single one of our shows will be a relaxed performance, and that means that everybody is welcome. So if you would struggle to follow the usual conventions of theatre etiquette, this is a show where you'll be very welcome.